Hello and welcome to another episode of the bAmplified podcast. I'm Amy Patee, the host, and this is a show for soulful entrepreneurs looking to align their business with their natural energy for more ease, flow, and success. And today's show is all about the reflector energy type in human design. I'm going to be talking about what makes reflectors unique, their strategy for success, and how they can best align their business with their type for more impact and fulfillment. And if you just happen to come across this episode, know that it's part of a 6-part series on the human design energy types. So if you want to start at the beginning, go back to episode 7. In that episode, I introduce the energy types and explain why they matter in business. And then feel free to listen to the remaining episodes up until today to learn about all of the types because they all work together. Together, we make the world happen. And if you don't know what your type is, there's a link in the show notes where you can download your free human design chart and then just look for your energy type and it'll tell you right there what type you are. You'll want to definitely tune into the episode on your type. But like I said, it's great to listen to the shows on all of the types because we all work together. And in fact, let me start there. I'll just kind of give like a little review of where we've been. So, the first episode on energy type was about the manifester, and the manifester is the initiator. And it's like the manifester initiates this new energy, these new movements, these new ideas on the planet, and hands off the baton to the generator energy type after that. And the generator energy type is made up of both pure generators and then also manifesting generators. And they are the life force of the planet, they are the builders, the creators. And so they get busy and they make things happen on the planet. Like I said, they're here to build. And then we've got the projectors, and the projectors are really the advisors or the guides. They have this really unique way of looking deeply into specifically the generator types and really analyzing how they are using their energy and what they need to tweak so that the energy flows in a more optimal way. So, manifester initiates, generator types, they build, they use all of their life force energy to create, and then the projectors, they check in and see how the energy is flowing, and they advise and help the generators tweak things a little bit so that things flow in a more smooth way. And then today we are talking about the reflectors. They are like the evaluators out of the energy types, and they are kind of out watching all of this take place, and they are absorbing and sampling and taking in the energy of everything that's happening and evaluating it, making sense of it, giving us feedback on if we are all doing our job and doing it correctly and working in a way that really flows to benefit and uplift the greater whole. So I hope that's all making sense, but I just wanted to kind of paint a picture of how the types work together because we are part of a collective. We are all here to work together and we all have an individual purpose, but then we also have this kind of larger life purpose that is more universal. And literally, we can look at our energy type to get an idea of what that larger universal purpose is. So I'm a pure generator. I have access to this abundant life force energy. And I have to admit, I do love to build things. I love, love, love to build. I love to create. I love to work towards mastery, really get to know something as I'm building it and become a master of it. And that is part of what it's all about, being a generator. But we're not here today to talk about the generators. You can go back and listen to that episode if you want. Let's talk about the reflectors. I saved the reflectors for this last episode because you are so special. You are the rarest of all human design types, and you make up just 1% of the population. And just to put things in perspective, again, I'm a pure generator. The generator types, which include the manifesting generators, we make up 70% of the population. So we really all live in a generator world to some degree. And then you've got the reflectors, and they only make up 1% of the population. So if you are listening in and you are a reflector, and sometimes you feel a little bit like an oddball, or if it's a struggle for you to fit in to the world, it might have a little bit to do with your energy type, that you are a reflector. So, something that really makes the reflector unique is that you have a very open and undefined design. And what do I mean by that? So, when you get your chart and you see that image at the center of your chart, it has 9 different shapes within that image, and those are called centers. And then there's these channels connecting the centers. So if you were to look at the average person's human design chart, there would be some of those centers and some of those channels that are colored in, which is called defined in human design. Well, when you look at a reflector's chart, a reflector's body graph, they don't have any centers colored in, and they don't have any complete channels colored in. So when things are not colored in, it is referred to as being undefined. Sometimes it's called open. And it creates a place within your body graph where you don't have defined energy. You don't have consistent or reliable energy in that area of your chart. And you are a lot more vulnerable to external energy there. You tend to take in energy from the environment and from other people through that openness, that undefined area, and you absorb it, you amplify it, and then you reflect it back out. And there's a lot of potential in our openness, whether you're a reflector or not, to become very, very wise, because you're taking in the external. And as you take it in, you get to feel it, experience it, you get to learn about it and reflect it back out. And through that process, you learn a lot and you can become very wise about the theme of that center or the theme of that channel. Now, at the same time, you can also become very conditioned through these open areas by the external world. If you don't have awareness about what's happening, if you're functioning from a more unconscious place, it can be really easy to take in the vibe, the energy, the thoughts, the emotions of the external world through your open areas. And you can merge with it a little bit. You can become it. You can think you are it. So there's a lot of potential for growth through your openness in your chart. And for the reflector, because you naturally have all of this openness, like I said, if you look at the reflector's chart, there is no color really. There will be a little bit of activation through the gates. The gates are the numbers that you'll see within the centers. There's little numbers that wrap around the circumference of the centers in your body graph, and you will, as a reflector, have some of those gates activated. So you do have energy, but it is way less defined than the average person. And what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, I already explained it a little bit. It means that you take in the world a lot more than most people. You are deeply connected to the world through this process of sampling and absorbing, taking in. And you are a bit like a mirror. You reflect the energy of the environment back to the environment, back to the people that you are interacting with. And because of this sensitivity that you are flexible. You have the potential, I should say, to be very flexible, to be a bit of a chameleon, to be able to try things on and see what you like, to also know, to be able to sense and know when things are working well and when they're not. So if you remember in the beginning, I was saying the reflector is a little bit like the evaluator. And in a way, you serve as an energetic barometer. You scan the environment, and as you do, you pick up on places where the energy is a little off. And you can also pick up on the places where the energy is really aligned and robust. And through this scanning of the environment, you really reveal the health and the authenticity of your surroundings or the lack thereof. And so if you are a reflector or if you know someone who's a reflector, when they are thriving, it is really a sign that the community, the business, or the environment that they're in is aligned and it's supportive. And if they are struggling, it usually indicates that something is off. Something is off in the business, something is off in the environment, family, and something needs to shift. Because again, they are like the barometer for the world around them. So I hope that's making sense. Now, let's talk about the strategy of the reflector. So, if you remember, each energy type has a unique strategy. And your strategy in human design is how you really make things happen in your life. It's how you are designed to exchange and interact with the world in the most optimal way, in the way that creates a sense of flow and ease in your life. And your strategy has a lot to do with how your energy field is structured and how it works. And so, again, if you remember for the reflectors, you have this sampling aura, right? Your design is very open. Your aura is sampling the environment constantly, touching, taking in the world around you, and then reflecting or mirroring back what you've discovered to the world. Sometimes the reflector aura is described as being a little bit like Teflon tape, meaning that you can sample the world, but you don't completely absorb it all the way in. You sample it just enough to really get a taste of it, to begin to understand it, and then you reflect it back out. But you don't let it come all the way into the deepest level of you. So keep that in mind if you are a reflector, because I know some reflectors that I've spoken with, they can feel really lost in the world, especially the world we live in today, which can be very chaotic. And there's a lot of destruction going on, and there's a lot of negativity being flung around, that it can be really difficult to be a reflector with all of that openness. But hear me when I say you do have this Teflon like quality in your aura that allows you to sample, get a sense of things, but it doesn't go all the way in. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't go all the way in. So your job is to really know where you are inside yourself and to be able to anchor more and more into that, and to understand your nature and your design allows you to really feel out the world around you, but you are not of the world, or you are not the world that you are perceiving and sampling and tasting around you. You are still separate in the sense that there's a you in there that is separate from whatever it might be that you're experiencing and tasting and sampling. I don't want to get too complex here, because the reflector is already all complex all by itself. So, okay, with this aura that is sampling and taking in the world around you, how do you make decisions with that? Or how do you come into correct energy flow, correct opportunities? How do you know which way you should go based on this particular aura type? What is the strategy that you must use with your aura to find that flow for yourself? Your strategy is to wait for a full lunar cycle before making any big moves, any important moves in your life, any major decisions in your life. So that's about 28 days. And this is a unique strategy. So if you remember the generator types, they need to wait to respond, right? They look around, they see what drops into their aura, and then whatever excites them, they can respond to that. And that takes them into flow. and that gets things moving in their life. The projector needs to wait for an invitation, for somebody to recognize the guidance that they have to offer and to invite them to share it. And the manifester needs to inform before they take big action. They need to inform those around them. So the reflector needs to wait for 28 days, for a full lunar cycle before really leaping into big things. So for little things, you don't have to wait 28 days. You can go get whatever coffee you want. You do not have to wait 28 days to make that decision. This is for big things, big moves. And you are a lunar being. The rest of us are solar beings, generators, projectors, manifestors. We're solar beings. We work at a quicker pace, but you are a lunar being. You are connected to the cycle of the moon, and you need 28 days to sample the energy because as we move through that 28-day cycle, the moon literally triggers different parts of your chart. And as it triggers these different parts of your chart, you are getting a different perspective. You are seeing things from a new angle. And so it takes about 28 days for you to gather all of the perspectives to see whatever thing that you are wanting to make a decision about, to see it from all angles, to feel it out from all different dimensions. And after that 28 days, you will have a sense of this is right, this is not right. I want to make a move in this direction, or I want to say yes to this opportunity. You will know after about 28 days. It may not always take 28 days, but this is your strategy based on how you are energetically, fundamentally designed, based on human design, of course. So you have to experiment with this and see if it resonates with you, see if it lands with you, see if it makes sense for you, see if when you actually relax into giving yourself this time and space to feel things out, to gain the wisdom that you can gain through that 28-day cycle, see if you start to feel better about the choices you're making, the decisions you're making, the direction that you're moving your life in. See if you start to feel this sense of ease, the sense of flow. It's all about experimentation when it comes to human design. You need to live it and see if it actually resonates and works for you. And I just want to say that this strategy, this lunar cycle, waiting 28 days strategy for the reflector may feel really challenging because we don't live in this kind of world. We live in a fast moving world. People want decisions instantly, right away. If you are invited into an opportunity, they are likely going to want an answer within days or sooner. And that is not your process. You require time. It is essential for reflectors to really take their time before making big moves, making big choices and decisions. And by giving yourself that time, you will find alignment. You will come to a place where you know what is right for you. And that choice, that decision, that move that you're going to make will be aligned for you. So, let me give you some tips. These are 5 tips to help you work with your strategy more effectively. So, and I've already kind of spoken to most of these, but the first one is give yourself time. So, just talked about this, but avoid pressure to make quick decisions. And instead, if you can, allow yourself to really experience different energies throughout the lunar cycle before you commit, before you say yes, before you move in a certain direction that will impact your life in a big way. Okay, so that's the first little tip. The second one is really observe your environment. Your well being is deeply tied to where you live, where you work, and the people that you're surrounded by. So if something feels off, pay attention. And it may be a sign that you need to change things up. Maybe you need a new environment. Maybe you need a new workplace. Maybe you need to surround yourself with different people. Or maybe you just have to make what you are feeling and what you know, make that known to those around you because maybe they need to tweak things. Okay, so it's not always you that has to change. Sometimes you can offer up what you've been evaluating and feeling and sensing to others and they can tweak the energy and then you'll feel better. Okay, so observe your environment, pay attention to how you are feeling it and how it's impacting you. And then the third thing is to talk it out. Reflectors can gain clarity through discussion, but they don't necessarily need advice. You might just benefit from verbalizing your thoughts to a trusted friend or a coach or somebody who can really help you process what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, all of the information that you're taking in. And if you don't have somebody who you can talk things through with, journaling, a daily journaling practice can be just as beneficial. Just writing out your day to day insights as you move through the month, and then going back through your journal and reflecting on what you wrote down to help inform any major decisions that you have to make. Okay, the fourth tip is to honor your sensitivity. Reflectors hold the potential to deeply feel the emotions and energies of others. And you want to learn to recognize through your sensitivity what is yours versus what you are absorbing from others. And know that most of the time, what you're feeling and experiencing, a lot of the time, if you've been around people, if you've been out in public places, what you're experiencing isn't yours. And I would encourage you, if you're a reflector, to really make sure you have some kind of daily ritual that you do to cleanse your energy. Maybe you do it before you go to bed each night, and it's a meditation ritual, maybe it's a breathing practice that you do, or a movement practice, or just a visualization that you do that helps you release the energies that are not yours. Because otherwise, you're going to get really congested and you're not going to know which is which, right? Did I pick this up today? Is it lingering from last week? Whose energy is this? Where am I in all of this? So honor your sensitivity and cultivate a daily ritual to let go of what's not yours. And then the last tip I would say for using your strategy effectively is to embrace your uniqueness. So the world really needs your perspective. Your ability to see what's working or what's not is a gift. And when it's shared with the right people, when you share your wisdom about what you've observed, what you've taken in and made sense of, when you share that with the right people, it can lead to profound insights and transformation within them and within the collective and the environment, the team, whoever you're working with in the moment. You are really designed in a way to be a modern day shaman, helping all of us, helping the collective evolve and move forward together in a positive way. That is like your big purpose for being here. And of course, you have an individual purpose, which you can discover by going deeper into your design, but just at this level of your energy type, being a reflector, you are an evaluator. You are here to be a modern day shaman. And whew, that might sound really big, right? Depending on who you are listening and what your lifestyle looks like right now. But let yourself sit with it and take what resonates and leave the rest behind, as always. So when you are following your strategy, using your sampling aura to take in the world around you, to make sense of it, to gather wisdom from doing so over the period of about 28 days. And then you make moves, you make choices, you make decisions based on what you've learned and the wisdom you've gained, the clarity that you've come to. When you make decisions through that particular strategy, you will likely experience a sense of delight and a sense of surprise in your life, maybe on a daily basis. And this sense of surprise is your signature state. In human design, your signature state indicates that you are in alignment, you are functioning correctly. However, if you are in the wrong environments a lot, if you are rushing your decisions, you're not giving yourself the time and space that you need, the 28-day lunar cycle period, you might feel disappointed a lot. And that is your not self theme. And it signals that you're a little out of alignment and adjustments are needed. You can use your signature state and your not self theme to kind of course correct as you're moving throughout your life. So when you're experiencing this sense of surprise and delight at what you're experiencing, you are in alignment. But if you're feeling a lot of disappointment energy day after day or multiple times throughout the day, you need to tweak things. You need to shift. And you can probably ask yourself in that moment, ooh, did I rush into this? Did I rush this decision? Am I hanging out with the wrong people? Am I in a bad environment right now? What do I need to change? Okay, let's see. What else do I want to go into for the reflectors? I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about in terms of just the reflector type, the strategy, the aura. Let's talk a little bit about reflectors in business more specifically. So, first off, I want to say as a reflector, you're not really designed to fit into the traditional business world structures as they currently are. Your natural rhythm is really, in a way, completely opposite to our fast paced way of doing things. If you are working in corporate America, I mean, decisions might be being made quite quickly. There are deadlines to make things happen. And as a reflector, you might feel a lot of disappointment in these traditional types of structures. But at the same time, I want to remind you that you are flexible, you are adaptable, you can be a bit of a chameleon because of all that openness. So at the same time, you might do really well in a traditional model. Everybody's very different, everybody's very unique, but you can take what you're learning even just in this episode and begin to experiment and begin to really maybe bring fresh eyes to your work environment. And here's 5 key ways that you can thrive a little bit more in business. So, the one thing to do, or the first thing to do, is to really, if possible, choose energetically aligned environments. So we already talked about this in terms of tips for just working with your strategy, but your environments really matter. So you're constantly absorbing energy from your surroundings. And if you can be selective about where you work and who you work with, that would be ideal. Maybe you have your own office and you can shut the door. Maybe you get to work from home. Maybe you get to go work at coffee shops of your choice. Maybe you love where you work and who you work with, and that's awesome. You're probably experiencing a lot of delight and surprise on a daily basis if that's the case. But just prioritize that. Work in energetically aligned environments. The second key thing is that you want to use your unique insights to guide others. You would make a really great consultant, coach. You're a creative visionary. You can really do any job you want to do, to be honest. Reflectors can be anything like everybody else, but you are designed to, again, be a barometer to scan the environment and to give us feedback on how we're doing, to evaluate how things are being done, and to give the world, to give the people around you insight and guidance based on what you've discovered. So you can really shine in a role where you get to provide feedback on what is working and what isn't within community, a business, or a team. And again, just know whatever team, group, or business you find yourself working within, it's ideal for you to be placed at the center. Because again, you're a little bit like a modern day shaman. And by being at the center of your community, you can act like a radar. You're scanning the environment, detecting and identifying where the energy is off and where it's aligned. And then letting the rest of us know, letting your team know, letting your business know how they can course correct if things are off. Okay, so the third key is to embrace flexibility. You are naturally flexible, or at least you hold the potential to be naturally flexible. So again, if you are working at a job that has really rigid schedules and timelines and structures, you might just feel drained by that because you thrive when you can like stretch out, spread out, take up space, take up time to really be in this 28-day cycle experience where you are gathering information and gaining wisdom from it. So Structures that are more fluid, that provide you with a little bit more variety and allow you to take rest when you need it, might be more ideal for you. And the fourth key to consider is to leverage your cyclic workflows. And this just means that how can you create systems and structures in your own business or where you work to align with the lunar cycle? It may sound really kind of esoteric and mystical to align your projects with the lunar cycle, but you might want to experiment with that because you are a lunar being by nature and you move with the natural rhythm of the moon. And so, if you can align yourself and your tasks and whatever you're working on with that rhythm of yourself, your natural energy, and the moon, you might find that you really tap into some kind of magical flow. I mean, it could be pretty magical. So give that a try. And the last thing that can help you thrive in business is to prioritize rest and energy protection. So remember when I talked about having a daily ritual to clear your energy? That would be one way to really protect your energy. And then to just know, since you don't have any defined centers, that means you don't have any defined motor centers either. So your energy is going to ebb and flow. It might be inconsistent. And depending on who you're around, you could either end up feeling really drained or really energized, either way. But it's important for you to, again, have some fluid structure so that if you get really tired, you get to rest. If you start to feel negative and you're having a lot of disappointment energy, you need some fluid structures that allow you to take a time out and to go clear your energy. Okay. So, those 5 tips again, or those 5 key ways for you to create more success in business. Let me just repeat those briefly. 1, work in energetically aligned environments. 2, use your unique insight to guide others if possible. Put yourself at the center of your team or business or community. 3, embrace your flexibility. And then create structures that are flexible in nature. 4, leverage your cyclic workflows. So if you can, do your projects, do your tasks in a way that aligns with the moon's natural rhythms, that 28-day cycle. And 5, prioritize rest and energy protection. Do practices, do rituals that allow you to get back to you, to clear out what's not you on a daily basis. So if you are a reflector, trust your process, honor your energy, know that your wisdom is really needed here on the planet. There's not a lot of you here, but you have a very important role. Your ability to reflect the health of the world around you is a rare and powerful gift. The more you align with the right environments and relationships, the more you will thrive. So, if you are a reflector, I would love to hear from you and for you to let me know how the information I shared in this episode landed with you, if it made sense for you. And if you feel connected to your energy type, if you resonate with being a reflector, I would love, love, love to hear about that. You could leave a review and share, or you can always send me an email or leave me a DM on Instagram as well. And that is all I have for you today. That is a wrap to this whole series on the energy types. I'm sure I will talk more about them in the future. This was really fun for me to do these episodes because it helped me kind of dive a little deeper as well into each of the types and to learn a little bit more. There's so much to learn in the human design system. Okay, so as a reminder, subscribe if this episode resonated with you, leave a review if you enjoyed it, check out the links in the show notes. I've got some great offerings coming up specifically to learn your human design, your energetic blueprint that is stored in your DNA, and to apply it and align it in your business. So check out the show notes, join me if you can, and I'll catch you on the next episode.